I thought he was going to die. I thought he was going to go to sleep one night and have so much crap in his system that he would not wake up the next morning.
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it? All you care about, guys, is money. You don't care about people. Only money. Only money.
And maybe that's the price you pay for the money and fame at an early age.
Everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
Have you ever discussed?
Don't ask me about her again.
Have you ever?
Don't ask me about her again. Don't ask me about her again.
And everybody saw me sick, and it felt like no one gave a.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. Let her do her thing, and if she ever needs me, I'm gonna be here for her. But I just want to protect her,
I'm so lonely.
The story of Justin Bieber isn't just about pop stardom, it's about what happens when a child becomes an industry before he's old enough to understand it. At the 2026 Grammys, Justin stood on stage with nothing but a guitar and his underwear, stripped down in a way that feels less like a gimmick and more like a statement. For many watching, it didn't feel like a performance, it felt like an acknowledgement of what is said about him over the years. For over a decade, Justin's life played out in headlines. Scandal after scandal, relationship after relationship, whispers about substance abuse, burnout, and the relentless pressure of growing up in public. But today, the narrative looks different. He's a husband, a father, and by all accounts, someone trying to build the kind of stability he's never really had while becoming famous. And behind all of that, there's always this lingering question. Were the adults around him, including his parents, really prepared to protect a teenage kid who suddenly became a global superstar? Or did they help throw him to the wolves for their own gain? The ups and downs in their relationship over the years have only made his support system seem complicated to say the least. And now, as broader conversations swirl around power, exploitation, and what really happens behind the curtain, especially in the wake of renowned scrutiny on figures like Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Diddy Combs, some fans and commentators have begun re-examining Justin's early years through a darker lens, questioning what child stars may endure long before the cameras turn off. At the same time, Justin has been quietly reshaping his world, parting ways with longtime manager Scooter Braun, and distancing himself from friendships that once defined an era of his life. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Alana here, and in today's video, we're breaking down Justin Bieber's journey, from child superstar to where he stands now, and the bigger conversation it opens about fame, power, and the music industry. For a long time, the mental health of artists was treated like an afterthought, something to deal with later, if at all. The priority was always the schedule, finish the tour, promote the album, keep the machine moving. And when you become famous as young as Justin did, there isn't exactly a handbook for how to grow up while millions of people are watching. The pressure to perform, to be on, to keep going even when you're clearly burnt out has historically been baked into the industry. And it's only recently that we started having more honest conversations about what that kind of environment can do to a person, especially someone who never really had the chance to live a normal life in the first place. And while we're still in the beginning of the new year, everyone is screaming new year, new me, but most resolutions die by February because we get overwhelmed by the idea of fixing everything all at once and striving for perfection. Which is ironic because perfectionism is something I've struggled with for years. I overthink, I tweak things 400 times, I convince myself something isn't ready, I delay uploading videos, I delay relaunching the blog, I sit on ideas because they're not perfect. And that perfectionism turns into overwhelm, and that overwhelm turns into doing nothing. Which is wild because from the outside, it looks just like productivity issues, but internally, it's this loop of pressure and self-criticism, which is something I feel like everyone can relate to. You don't wake up on January 1st magically less anxious. You don't suddenly stop overthinking because the calendar changed. Real change isn't about becoming a completely different person. It's about understanding why you do what you do in the first place. And that's where therapy comes in. Not as a reset button, but just a consistent space to work through it. This video is sponsored by BetterHelp, which honestly feels very on theme for what we're talking about today. If you've been thinking about starting therapy this year, BetterHelp makes it simple to begin. You fill out a questionnaire and can be matched with a therapist in as little as a couple of days based on your preferences and their clinical experience. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Over 6 million people have used BetterHelp, and I like that it makes therapy feel more approachable instead of overwhelming. If you want to focus on real growth this year, click the link in my description or go to betterhelp.com/scandalousmedia to get 10% off your first month of therapy. And with that being said, let's get back to Justin, because once the fame hit its peak, everything started to change. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe for more, and tell us your thoughts down in the comments below. The rise and fall of a teenage pop star. To fully understand the modern-day Justin Bieber that we see today, glaring at paparazzi on the street and yelling random things,
It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
we need to get back to a time when Justin was the biggest star of his generation. Justin wasn't just a popular, trending, up-and-coming artist, he was a mega celebrity, someone in his own league by the age of 16. When he came out, the hits were immediate. Song after song was climbing the charts, his albums were debuting high, and it felt like you couldn't turn on the radio, MTV, or YouTube without hearing his voice. He wasn't just another teen pop star, he was the teen pop star. And then there was Bieber Fever. Even if you weren't involved in pop culture or fandoms, you know what Bieber Fever was. The screaming, the camping outside hotels, the crying, the fainting, entire malls shutting down just because he showed up, it was hysteria in the most literal sense. Grown news anchors were covering teenage girls sobbing like it was breaking news. The music industry was constantly trying to find the next Justin Bieber to capitalize on, with male artists like Cody Simpson, Austin Mahone, Shawn Mendes, and more. At the same time, the internet was basically building a mythology around him. This was the peak of Twitter, Tumblr, and fanfiction era. He wasn't just a singer, he was a character in millions of people's imaginations. Entire online communities were formed around him. He was one of the first artists to really blow up with social media. And the backstory only made him bigger. A kid raised by a single mom, posting covers on YouTube, going from small-town Canada to private jets almost overnight. It was the ultimate rags to riches story happening in real time. One minute he's singing with a guitar, the next he's a multi-millionaire before he's old enough to process what that even means. You can only imagine why the crash was hard. The image of a sweet and talented child star that he had worked so hard to achieve was quickly overshadowed by his newfound bad boy reputation. In his own words, he's made every bad decision you could have thought of and went from one of the most loved and adored people in the world to the most ridiculed, judged, and hated person in the world. His controversy shocked people, and instead of giving Justin any grace with whatever he could have been dealing with, the media and general public tore him apart. Suddenly, people were asking how the same kid who once seemed so harmless and wholesome had become the center of so many scandals. Between 2013 and 2014, it felt like every week there was a new controversy attached to Justin's name. Paparazzi footage showed him partying late into the night, sneaking into brothels, and getting in trouble because some of the people from his gang were underage, getting into heated confrontations with the paparazzi, and generally behaving in ways the media quickly labeled as reckless. Peeing in mop buckets, egging a neighbor's home, TMZ releasing an old video of Justin saying a racial slur, showing up late to events and concerts, having a new side chick on his arm every few months, getting shaded by his ex-girlfriend anytime she picked up her phone, heavy substance abuse rumors, excessive partying, and so much more. One of the most widely reported incidents came in early 2014 when he was arrested in Miami for drinking and drag racing, a moment that instantly became front-page news around the world. Late-night TV hosts mocked him, tabloids dissected his every move, haters booed him at award shows, and the internet seemed to collectively turn on the same kid it once had celebrated. His fall had come as quickly as his rise, and it hit us all the same. Justin Bieber's complicated relationship with his parents. In the midst of Justin being the biggest star of the 2010s, there came a lot of unprocessed trauma that even he couldn't pinpoint happening in real time. Justin's parents are Jeremy Bieber and Patty Mallet, and they both had Justin at the age of 18. Jeremy had left Patty when Justin was only 10 months old, leaving Patty's parents to help her take care of Justin while they lived below their means. Justin's parents were a big heartbreak for him, and it seemed to be playing out over time in front of our eyes. In his first few albums, he had written songs about his parents, most notably Turn to You and Down to Earth. When it came to Justin's parents, the media narrative has always been layered. He was primarily raised by his mom, who had him as a teenager, and was suddenly thrust into managing a global superstar before she could even fully process it herself. As his fame exploded, she was often portrayed as deeply involved, but also navigating something completely unpredictable. And when Justin entered his rebellious era, tabloids were quick to question whether she had lost influence or control, especially when he later admitted that they went through a period of time where they weren't as close and had to rebuild their relationship. his dad became part of the conversation too. It's been wildly reported and even alluded to by Justin himself that his father wasn't consistently present during his early childhood, but as fame grew, so did his father's visibility. The press often framed it as the classic absent father reappears during success storyline. Fair or not, that narrative stuck. And over time, it fueled a bigger underlying question people still ask today. When a teenager has global power, adult money, and non-stop pressure, was there ever anyone fully equipped to protect him from what that kind of fame can do? The reason why many people are not fond of Justin's parents, mainly his dad, is that during the hardest times of Justin's life, his father seemed to waltz in and reap the benefits rather than act like a supporting father figure. Justin's relationship with his dad is complicated to say the least. Justin told Billboard in 2015 that his dad was not in a place where he could raise a kid. He was immature, he left for like a year when I was about 4, went to British Columbia, came back on Father's Day. Justin recalled, "I remember my mom said, if you're going to be here, you have to be here." There's a misconception that he's this deadbeat dad, but he's been in my life since. I was with him on weekends and Wednesdays. Justin wanted to make his dad happy, and he liked hanging out with him to make up for the fact that he wasn't around as a child, and it felt like Jeremy was sometimes using Justin to relive his teenage years without the pressure of having a child. During the period where Justin was partying heavily, going out to clubs, experimenting with drugs, sleeping around, and living a pretty chaotic lifestyle, his dad was often seen right there alongside him, enabling that behavior. On January 24, 2014, the media reported Bieber parties with dad hours after DUI arrest. The 19-year-old singer was spotted tossing back drinks with his old man Jeremy, 38, who looked as thuggish as his own son in a cap, shades, sweatpants, and a tee that showed off his tatted up arms, hours after Justin was released on a $2,500 bond Thursday following his arrest for allegedly drinking, smoking pot, and taking pills while drag racing on a residential street in Miami. Nothing about this relationship looks like a healthy father-son dynamic, and when fans and the media criticized Justin's dad, he said, "I can protect my kids, but I can't protect them from you and your lies. Believe in the truth, not in the lies of the enemy, #real-life."
Oh.
It's one thing to protect your kids, and it's another thing to use them for your own entertainment. Jeremy didn't seem like he cared or even understood how to tell Justin no, and was reportedly part of the reason Justin got arrested in the first place. According to The Guardian, Jeremy had helped block off streets so his intoxicated son could drag race the rented car. During this time, Justin's father seemed more like a friend, enabling a troubled person's behavior rather than stepping in to help. At Justin's lowest, he pushed out his mom and welcomed his dad in with open arms. In Justin's GQ magazine interview in 2015, Justin admits that him and his mom had a falling out in 2014. The two had a falling out sometime around 2014, around the time Justin began appearing in mugshots and stopped speaking. They've reconciled tentatively, but she now lives in Hawaii. Justin says he doesn't see her as much as he'd like to. When Justin and his mom had a falling out, I had sources tell me that it was partially because Justin's mom sided with Selena during the breakup rather than Justin. It was reported by us and later mentioned in songs by Justin that Selena would call his mom up and complain to her about everything, and sometimes would bend the truth to fit her narrative. In a post from 2016, we said, Selena ranted to Patty about how Justin was abusive to her and how horrible he treated her. From the way Justin then started to act in 2013, it was not hard to buy Selena's story. Patty was then very disappointed in Justin based on what Selena said and the way he acted. If only she knew that she, as well as Selena and Jeremy, played a huge part in his downfall. So who did Patty believe? She believed Selena over Justin. Justin then couldn't believe her for taking Selena's words over his own. For Justin, this felt like a different type of betrayal because his own mother, who wasn't even that fond of Selena to begin with, started to take her word against his. In Justin's song Forever that came out in 2020 on the Changes album, he sings, "When you asked me if I cheated, I said never, no way. What are you willing to do to stay together? How many times are we gonna break up for the summer? How many times are you gonna try to call my mother?" Also, we can tell Patty never liked Selena because in Love Yourself, Justin sings, "My mama don't like you and she likes everyone, and I never like to admit that I was wrong." There's a reason why Justin and Patty reconciled after 2013/2014. And not to keep tooting my own horn here, but if you need more proof to the story, as you could see these messages, our sources say Selena told Patty numerous times Justin cheated on her, and Patty was very disappointed in Justin last year, aka 2014. These messages were sent November 2015. 5 years later, in Justin's song Forever, he puts the two together saying, "When you asked me if I cheated, I said never. How many times are you gonna call up my mother?" And although Selena was acting out and hurting Justin through his mother, her way of processing things were just as confusing for her as they were for him. And she had an extremely intense way of processing her emotions, more extreme than other people, and she herself noticed that. Before Selena got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, she didn't get the proper attention she needed on why she reacts to certain things the way she does. In that same post, I say, Selena is not your average girl, and by that statement, I don't mean the obvious. I mean her mentality. I find her very interesting in the way she thinks and reacts. She's done some horrible things throughout the years. Her mentality is very off. She thinks she's above people and messes with people in very weird ways. Like if you tick her off, she will plan revenge.
For making me wait so long to be so close to like two of the people that I wanted to.
Yeah.
Honey.
Second, of course.
You
At a later
wouldn't
age.
like me. You
At a later
wouldn't
age.
like me.
Selena lashed out in odd ways, and the funny part is that she did this all in the public eye, which is why I'm confused when people don't understand that she could do worse behind closed doors. Now, I've said this in the 2016 post, but truthfully, I've been saying this since 2013. And now, 10 years later, here's what Selena had to say about her behavior pre-diagnosis.
It finally allowed me to go, oh, that's why I handled things the way I handled
For sure.
them. That's why all the other people were able to get over things quickly and I wasn't. And I would act out of fear, I'd act out of love, I'd act out of passion. It was all inconsistent. It was crazy.
So to understand Justin's pain with his parents, you have to understand their connection to Selena, especially his mother, since he was still willing to be okay with his father. The general public and diehard believers were not used to Justin's strange behavior that randomly skyrocketed, and we also weren't used to his mom not being in the picture. Since Justin's debut, there has always been two people consistently by his side, Patty and Scooter Braun. So when Justin started acting up, an option to push the parent that stayed with him the most for the fun parent that wasn't around, the alarms in everyone's head started going off. Patty had a difficult upbringing, and it's likely that some of those experiences inevitably shaped the environment Justin grew up in as well. In 2012, she released a memoir titled Nowhere But Up, where she opened up about some of the darkest moments in her life, including struggling with drug addiction, suicide attempts, and the journey that ultimately led her to finding faith in God. Patty also talks about being a victim to sexual abuse starting at just 3 years old, and has said that Justin struggled with reading her memoir because of the dark topics it covers. Many people believe Justin's parents sold him out, a theory that's gained attention thanks to recent scandals. The idea is that Justin's parents sold him out to the music industry, and back in 2016, scandalous media sources have told us that Justin's parents signed a contract with a record label ensuring that they will get a lot of money if they contribute to Justin's success and parent him in the way that he needed to be parented. We called the post, Justin Bieber's Parents Sold Him Out, the Parent Contract. The post was ahead of its time, just like many other scandalous media posts. This is the same post I talked about earlier with Justin, Patty, and Selena. In that post, we said that Justin's success at the start of his career was undeniable, so undeniable that Usher and Justin Timberlake fought over who should mentor him. The music industry saw green whenever they saw Justin, and basically that greed took over. In the industry, several contracts are made. You can have contracts regarding records, a public relationship, and more. Justin signed many contracts throughout his career. A notorious contract he signed was one with Selena, but we can get into that mess another time. The story goes that there was a parent contract signed by Justin's parents and by Justin when he was only 16 years old with L.A. Reid. The contract stated that Justin had to do whatever they told him and release whatever they wanted. Who's they, you may ask? His management. And if he was going to give anyone a hard time, he had his parents convince him otherwise. So what did his parents get from this? Well, they were making money off their son regardless of how Justin felt about the situation. Justin wasn't too comfortable with this, and he sought trust and comfort in Selena. This is why in the early stages of Jelena, there was a lot of links to love and trauma bonding at the same time, which is why the relationship had such a strong hold on both of them. Justin felt like his parents sold him out for money instead of letting him make the choices he wanted to make, which I assume would have been just as disastrous. They pushed for him to be a machine, consistently working, consistently exploited. When parents start to sell out their children, you start to think, well, what were Justin's parents okay with doing that could have hurt Justin? Was it turning a blind eye? Was it letting a 15-year-old do random spontaneous things with music veterans like Diddy and Usher because they were mentoring him? Was it allowing him to be on his own, trusting that he could hold his own weight, and leaving him to be taken advantage of? I think a lot of the resentment that comes from Justin towards his parents is that you could have at least intervened if something felt off. You didn't need to be bribed with money to give me up or turn a blind eye. I also think when Justin fell out with his mom, some of it had to do with the fact that she probably couldn't understand her own wrongdoings. Some people also think that Patty refuses to believe something bad might have happened to Justin at her own expense, so she brushes it under the rug and pretends everything's fine and just throws on a religious band-aid to explain the pain. Some people assume Justin's dad is more of the, listen son, I know I messed up, I'm a fuck up, basically telling him things that he wants to hear, while Patty is all like, but nothing is wrong, nothing happened. I don't necessarily think they just handed him off to whoever, but I do think they pushed him to do things ignoring the danger factors of what could happen. This is all assumed to be happening in his early teen years as a pop star in order to make sense of the Justin we saw in 2013, all the way to the Justin we're seeing now. We have to narrow in on what was happening before, when all of these contracts were being signed and he, as a child, didn't have guidance from anyone. Part of the reason why Justin was so hurt was because 3 people who meant the world to him were selling him out and exploiting him.
Being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
It's one thing to be used by record labels, but it's another thing to be used by your parents and, wait for it, your beloved girlfriend. When Justin and Selena first broke up in November 2012, she was quick to sell him out to the media. She would say things like I'd protect him if anyone tried to be mean, but would be the one participating in the action of tearing him apart.
And I was with Justin Bieber?
Well, now, the last time he was on, he and I got into a conversation, and he said something, and I said something, and then he said something, and I said something, and I made him cry.
Well, then that makes 2 of us.
She would shade him online every 2 weeks, basically aiding in on all the things the media was already saying about him. So that type of hurt came different.
That's why all the other people were able to get over things quickly and I wasn't. It was crazy.
So when those 3 hurt Justin the way they did, it led him down this road of, well, I don't care who I hang out with since everyone is going to use me regardless. And here is where we get, ladies and gentlemen, Bizzle. Moment of silence for the believers that were there in the pre-Bizzle era who watched Bizzle unfold with horrified faces. Bizzle was Justin's alter ego, the douche everyone wanted him to be, and so he basically surrendered to his own downfall. This was the era most people refer to when they talk about Justin's scandals in the media, issues with Selena, clubbing, hanging out with the wrong people, and so on. Back in January 2014, a former housekeeper for Justin spoke to the media about the horrors she saw regarding Justin's lifestyle and the friends he keeps around him. Tatiana Wojciech, who at the time had been working for Justin since August 2012, tells the media that 19-year-old Bieber and his friends are risking their lives by drinking dangerous cocktails of codeine-based cough syrup and soda known as scissor. I'm terrified he'll become the next Michael Jackson. If he doesn't act now, I will hear one day that he has passed away. It is heartbreaking. I have decided to speak out now as I care for him. Tatiana said that she watched as hangers-on would throw parties at the house and take drugs when Justin was there, and also while he was away fulfilling his grueling pop schedule. She said on the kitchen top there was often a bottle of prescription cough syrup, which I know had codeine in it, but I'm not sure what else. There were soft drinks like Fanta alongside it too. Usually celebs like their drinks thrown away if they leave them out as they are scared of being poisoned. I was told not to touch those bottles, and I wasn't allowed to throw them away. I never saw him drink from these bottles, but Justin did ask me a couple of times where I had put them. I didn't see exactly if they were mixing them together and making cocktails, but I thought it looked suspicious the way they were next to each other. Tatiana also said that the medical marijuana company would come daily. They give users marijuana in the form of cookies, lollipops, and candies. These products were always in the house. Justin was once a sweetheart, kind, considerate, and talented boy, and I'm concerned for him. He is now a lost boy. She says that last spring, aka the spring of 2013, she saw him stagger downstairs to meet friends on a waiting bus following a row with his ex-girlfriend, actress Selena Gomez. It was midnight, and Tatiana said, "When I saw him, I was shocked. He was like a zombie. He had a glazed, vacant look and appeared to be totally oblivious. He usually smiled at me, but he was very pale, frail, and looked sick. He got on the bus and then Lil Za screamed at me, 'Call him.' Now I couldn't just call my boss, so I walked up to the bus to say that Za is asking for him." Justin staggered back to the house and I watched as I was so worried. He walked into the kitchen and there was Za, who had a white pill in his hand which he pushed into Justin's mouth. Justin didn't even react, and then he and Za walked back onto the bus. I never asked him what it was, and I didn't know what it was. The huge mansion had become a party den. Girls would surround him while he was in what Tatiana claims was his zombie state. She said things were so bad that Justin had to be held up by friends whenever he walked out of his room. He could barely talk and appeared totally zoned out. Later, when I asked if he was okay, he tried to answer but struggled. He replied, "When they do drugs, they act strange." Tatiana says friends like Lil Za and Lil Twist moved into Justin's house without consulting anyone, constantly throwing parties and using his money. I don't know if they are putting stuff in his food or feeding him drugs, but he's in a dangerous place. Tatiana said she tried to ask for Justin's mom, Patty, and manager Scooter Braun to help, but failed to get through. She said he seemed to be surrounded by friends, but may not know who his true friends really are. His credit card was often missing for days and then would reappear. He never seemed to check the statements. His mail would often be thrown into the trash by other people. One day I walked in and there was a huge bag of cash on the table, around $30,000. No one explained where it came from and it was soon gone. Justin is a victim of all these people who are around him. I feel sorry for him. Throughout the years, Justin did get rid of a lot of friends from around that time, besides Lil Za, who he's still cool with, because he wasn't necessarily the problem, although they don't hang out as much as they used to. The Bizzle era was the best way to describe how the media, society, and so-called family/friends can treat you when you're going through something. Like Justin sings in Lonely, everybody saw me sick and it felt like no one gave a shit. Justin went through a period of time in 2016 refusing to take photos with fans. Justin was notorious for yelling at anyone who wanted a photo with him. To the people outside his life, this seemed like a random and bizarre request. He says on Instagram, "If you happen to see me out somewhere, know that I'm not going to take a picture. I'm done taking pictures. It has gotten to the point that some people won't even say hi to me or recognize me as a human. I feel like a zoo animal, and I want to be able to keep my sanity." Sometimes he would still take pictures with fans, but then other times he would freak out and tell everyone that he would only speak to them if they put their phones away. So there would be times we see Justin and fans on the floor talking or in a crowd talking, but no one is asking him for a picture or has their phone out. He wanted to talk to them as if they were all on the same level of status. During that era, he would also go off about award shows and how fake they all are. He says no disrespect to anybody at any of these shows or the people running it. Nothing but love for you guys and your support, but I don't feel good when I'm there nor after. I try to think of it as a celebration, but I can't help feeling like people are rating and grading my performance. A lot of people in the audience there seem to be worried about how much camera time they will get or who they can network with. When I look in the audience, I see a bunch of fake smiles so that when the camera hits them, they look happy. 2016 was also the year Justin canceled all meet and greets at his tour. He said he felt suffocated by drowning in other people's energy. Later on, he cancels the remaining dates of his Purpose tour. Reflecting back on this era in 2021, Justin says, "In this industry, you've got people that unfortunately prey on people's insecurities and use that to their benefit. And so when that happens, obviously that makes you angry. And you're this young, angry person who had these big dreams, and then the world just jades you and makes you into this person that you don't want to be. And then you wake up one day and your relationship is fucked up and you're unhappy, and you have all the success in the world, but you're just like, well, what is this worth if I'm still feeling empty inside?" The industry that raised Justin Bieber. When people look back at Justin's early career now, a lot of them see it a little differently than they did at the time. Back then, the headlines mostly focus on the scandals and the rebellious phase. But years later, as more conversations have started happening about how young stars are treated in the entertainment industry, some fans have started asking bigger questions about what Justin might have been exposed to behind the scenes. After all, he was just a kid when he was suddenly surrounded by some of the most powerful people in music in Hollywood. And when you grow up in an industry like that, it's not surprising that people started to wonder what the experience was really like for him. At a very young age, Justin was sexualized in every aspect, including by some people who worked with him. When Justin was talking about Billie Eilish in an interview, he broke down and started crying because he hopes she never endures anything dangerous in the music industry. Billie was 18 years old during the time of that interview, and it makes you wonder why he's so worried for her. He spoke about wanting to protect her.
If she ever needs me, I'm gonna be here for her, but yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters, and I just want to protect her, you know?
When the Yummy music video came out, a lot of people noticed that it sent a different message than what the lyrics of the song are saying. The first clip shows him walking through a kitchen with paparazzi flashes. He walks through the kitchen to a secret exclusive party. After getting through the kitchen, he walks into the party where the entertainment is a performance by a bunch of kids. None of them look older than 15 or 16. He leaves the screen and the camera is still focusing on the kids and even zooms in a little on them. As Justin sits, the camera makes sure to focus on a lot of the older and elegant looking people at the dinner party. Two of them approach Justin. The music video was tied into the conspiracy theory that is Pizzagate, a theory that went viral during the 2016 US elections. In March 2016, an email account that belonged to John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, was leaked for the world to see. These emails clearly showed the elites using common words and phrases as code for what many to believe to be something deeper and darker. In the Yummy music video, Justin has a John Podesta lookalike sit next to him. A lot of weird food gets shown in one clip. This might represent the unusualness of the entire event. After showing a bunch of wealthy people eating a lot of weird foods, the music video ends with a slice of cake, and once eaten, there's a young JB with the words yummy on them. People also notice in Justin's Where Are You Now music video, there are a lot of drawings that tie into the conspiracy theory we see today, ones that have to do with Pizzagate and other symbols. Justin crying about wanting to protect Billy, the Yummy music video, the Where Are You Now music video, the fact that he was seen with people like Usher and Diddy, and the rise of the Epstein case have a lot of people wondering if everything is tied together. And if it explains why we get such a fed-up version of Justin, the one that has left the fast-paced life of Hollywood behind him. It didn't help Justin's case when he posted an Instagram story about being hurt, saying, "I was always told when I was a kid not to hate, but it made me feel like I wasn't allowed to have it, and so I didn't tell anyone I've had it, which made me feel like I've been drowning, feeling unsafe to acknowledge it. I think we can only let hate go by first acknowledging that it's there. How couldn't we feel hate from all the hurt we have experienced?" Justin opens up. During the Bizzle era and the moments that followed, such as the Purpose Tour, Justin was heavily abusing substances, and everyone around him was worried he was going to die. In 2014, we had written on our blog about the effects the breakup Selena had on him, and overall everything that he was going through, and said, Justin is doing a lot of drugs as an escape from everything he is going through. His security team checks his pulse throughout the night to see if he's breathing. By 2017, we reaffirmed the story, saying that things got so bad that his pulse was being checked nightly and his security team was camped outside his hotel room. In 2020, Justin opened up about everything on his YouTube docu-series titled Seasons. Justin releases Lonely, a song with Benny Blanco, talking about how no one ever truly cared about him and how that loneliness really weighs him down.
I'm so lonely.
He even centers the music video about him being a kid in the music industry, wearing his iconic white and purple outfit. In the episode titled Justin Bieber Next Chapter, his manager Scooter Braun opens up about how he didn't know how to help Justin because he was only 25 at the time. He wished that he could have put him in therapy back then when he could. It didn't matter what Scooter says or wishes he could have done because Justin himself has admitted to being extremely stubborn, and there were reports about them butting heads all the time.
I was worried every night that I was going to lose him. And that was the time where I was telling him he's not allowed to work. And he used to yell and scream at me, and like he wanted to put music out, he wanted to tour, but I thought if he did that, he would die.
Right.
The pain that Justin was going through was so bad that he admitted to having suicidal thoughts, wanting all of it to stop. Justin said, "There were times when I was really suicidal. Like, man, is this pain ever going to really go away? The pain was so consistent, I was just suffering. So I'm just like, man, I would rather not feel this than feel this." Justin's episodes of self-pity and self-destruction definitely hurt people in the process. As he says in the documentary, hurt people hurt people. Justin's Purpose era was amazing for his career, but because he gave himself like 2 months of recovery after the Believe tour and the entirety of the Bizzle era, he was able to fall back into old habits, whether that was feeling suicidal or doing drugs. Old habits die hard. Throughout 2020, Justin continued opening up to fans on Instagram. Someone said, "Yeah, I agree that being rich alone will not make you happy, but you know what also won't make you happy? Not having enough money to provide for yourself and those living with you." To which Justin replied saying, "Imagine having all of the money in the world and having no friends or family that respect you. I can assure you that it won't fill that void. It won't fill the loneliness that is love. It won't satisfy when you crave acceptance and belonging." When the person clarified what they meant, Justin said, "I hear you, but think, some of the wealthiest people are miserable. If money actually made them happy, why are they so unhappy?" September 2nd, 2019, Justin posted a post on Instagram with the caption, "Hope you find the time to read this, it's from my heart." He starts off the message talking about depression and how it feels to feel like a disappointment day after day. He tries to rationalize with people saying that he's had everything you could think of and yet he was still unfulfilled to the point of suicide. He says there's an insane amount of pressure and responsibility put on a child's brain that has yet to be developed. Opening up about his childhood, he says, "You see, I didn't grow up in a stable home. My parents were 18, separated with no money, still young and rebellious as well." He said that by the time he turned 18, everyone had done everything for him, so he was left with no skills in the real world, with millions of dollars and access to whatever he wanted, which is a very scary concept. Being on stage, according to studies, is a bigger dopamine rush than almost any other activity, so these massive ups and downs on their own are very hard to manage. You notice a lot of touring bands and people end up having a phase of drug abuse, and I believe it's due to not being able to manage the huge ups and downs that come with being an entertainer. What's sad is that the media didn't want to pick up on Justin's honesty the way they wanted to pick up on his scandals. I remember when Justin had written this, everyone twisted his words and nobody paid him any attention to what he was saying, which is why the concern people have for Justin now seems so performative, because you only want to be concerned for him when it matches a conspiracy theory you have, but not when it's actually warranted. He continued saying, I started doing heavy drugs at 19 and abused all my relationships. I became resentful, disrespectful to women, and angry. I became distant from everyone who loved me, and I was hiding behind a shell of a person that I had become. I felt like I could never turn it around, and it's taken me years to bounce back from all of these terrible decisions, fix broken relationships, and change relationship habits. Luckily, God blessed me with extraordinary people who love me for me. Now I am navigating the best season of my life, marriage. Justin's marriage to Hailey. Justin told GQ magazine in 2021, my whole life I had a broken family, and so I was just attracted to a family that eats dinners together, laughs together, talks together. Hailey is credited by Justin and those in his life as a person who helped save him, someone who actually cared for him just as himself rather than as Justin Bieber. Justin's longtime collaborator Pooh Bear says, God really blessed him with her. Allison Kane, one of Justin's former longtime managers, said, there are very few people in my life where you're like, everything's going to be better if their spouse is here. Allison, who calls her a godsend, says, days I know Hailey's coming to set, I'm like, this is going to be the greatest day ever. When talking about Hailey, Justin said, one thing that has been so helpful is my wife is so by the book. She's so structured and routine and so responsible. The opposite of what Justin was and what he was used to in a relationship. Justin says Hailey cares for him in a way that no one has ever cared for him before. In that same 2021 GQ magazine, if you talk to people in his circle, almost all of them will point towards Hailey as the first piece of his redemption. She is just a strong, consistent, stabilizing force in his life, Ryan Good says, and that was something he was missing all those years. Justin is honest about the fact that his marriage has not always been easy. The first year of marriage was really tough, he says, because there was a lot going back to the trauma stuff. There was just a lack of trust. There were all these things that you don't want to admit to the person you're with because it's scary. You don't want to scare them off by saying, I'm scared. By March 2023, Hailey was going through a social media hate train caused by Selena, and all eyes were on Justin's every move to see if he was going to disarm the arguments the general public was making. At Justin's 29th birthday, party favor lighters were sent out with the words, I'm so thankful that I didn't end up with what I thought I wanted. It wasn't necessarily a dig at Selena since the timing of when the hate train started and the party was only a few days in between, but it was a good reminder that Justin has fully come to the realization that the things he once wanted and chased were not benefiting him in any way. He's very self-aware, writing on Instagram last March, I think I hate myself sometimes when I feel myself start to become inauthentic. Then I remember we're all being made to think we're not enough, but I still hate when I change myself to please people. People told me my whole life, wow Justin, you deserve that, and I personally have always felt unworthy, like I was a fraud. Like when people told me I deserved something, it made me feel sneaky, like damn, if only they knew my thoughts. How judgmental I am, how selfish I really am, they wouldn't be saying this. He continued, I say all this to say, if you feel sneaky, welcome to the club. I definitely feel unequipped and unqualified most days. It's like he's been made to feel shame for anything and everything he's done, which is why it's good that he's been grounded by his faith, especially within the last few years. Justin's faith is also a good reason as to why he stepped back from the industry, feeling like he can't use the talent God has given him and abandon the idea of God all at the same time. This is where we get Justin posting about God within the recent few years, even venting on Instagram yet again about his faith. On August 22nd, 2024, Hailey gives birth to Jack Blues Bieber. Jack solidifies everything Justin has been trying to get from the start. He wanted a stable family his whole life, and when he didn't get that growing up, he tried to look forward in different ways through other people. Justin having Jack and having Hailey has showed him that you can make your own family and be there for them in the same way you wish your parents had. A lot of people feel a lot of serenity when they realize they're old enough to give themselves an experience their younger self longed for. Justin has centered his career around two things, God and family. At the end of the day, those are the two pillars Justin leans on the most for support. Justin is achieving the family he's always wanted, the one that sits together at the dinner table, goes on family vacations, talks to each other, and laughs together. On the Grammys 2026 stage, Justin showed a stripped-down version of himself, the one who has nothing left to give to an industry that has already taken more than he can bear. The performance itself was stripped down, figuratively and literally. It also showcases a more vulnerable side to Justin, making the performance that much intimate and personal. I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about Justin's story and the industry that shaped it. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what topic you want me to dive into next. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.